In 1982, a Soviet spacecraft the size of a small car landed on Venus. Engineers expected it to survive about 32 minutes before the heat and pressure destroyed it. It lasted 127. You probably think that with the right equipment, the right suit, the right engineering, a human could last on Venus too. Maybe not forever, but long enough. Long enough to radio home, long enough for someone to come get you, long enough to matter. That is not how this works. There is no version of this story where someone comes to get you. And by the end of the next 127 minutes, you are going to understand exactly why. You wake up inside the descent module. The first thing you notice is the sound, a low mechanical hum, steady, almost comforting, the same hum that has been running since you left low Earth orbit 4 months ago. The second thing you notice is the readout above your head, altitude, 0. You have landed. Your name does not matter for this story. What matters is that you are the first human being to attempt what only machines have attempted before you. Houston built this capsule using the same principle Soviet engineers used in 1982. Over-engineer everything, expect the worst, and buy as many minutes as physics will allow. Your onboard clock reads it plainly the moment your systems finish their landing sequence. 127 minutes. Not a number anyone chose for you. The number your capsule was built to survive based on decades of data from machines that came before you and did not come back. You check your suit readouts. Nominal. You check the external camera. It activates, and for 3 full seconds, you forget you are supposed to be afraid. The sky is a dim, burnt orange, thick with cloud you cannot see through. The ground is flat and rocky, the color of ash. There is no wind you can feel, though the atmosphere outside is moving at a slow, crushing creep, thick enough that you could not stand upright in it without a hole around you. You're looking at the surface of another planet, and for a moment it is simply beautiful in the way that terrible things sometimes are. Then the temperature readout updates. 465 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to melt lead. Hot enough that if you dropped a chunk of tin onto the ground outside your hull, it would turn to liquid before it stopped bouncing. You key the radio. This is the moment nobody tells you about beforehand. The moment where you understand what distance actually means. You send the words, "I've landed." Systems nominal. Beginning surface operations. And then you wait. Venus is never closer than about 25 million miles from Earth, even at its nearest approach, which is the only reason a mission like yours was ever attempted at all. At that distance, traveling at the speed of light, your voice takes just over 2 minutes to reach Houston. Their reply takes just over 2 minutes to reach you. 4 minutes and 30 seconds minimum before you hear anything back, and that is the best case number. Depending on where Earth and Venus are in their orbits around the Sun, that round trip can stretch past 28 minutes. You do the math without wanting to. 4.5 minutes is over 3% of your entire remaining life on this planet, spent simply waiting for the sound of another human voice. Houston responds, "Copy that. Beautiful work. Systems telemetry looks clean on our end." You allow yourself something like relief. This is the part of the story where hope feels reasonable, where you believe, the way every person does in the first minutes of any disaster, that the systems will hold, the plan will work, and someone, somewhere, has a way to bring you home. You begin your surface operations. You extend the sampling arm. You photograph the rock formations around you. The same flat-plated stone the Soviet landers photographed decades earlier. The first color images ever taken from the surface of another world. 9 minutes pass. Then 11. Your hull is holding. At minute 19, the cooling system status light shifts from green to amber. You're not alarmed yet. Amber is a warning, not a failure. Your capsule was built with the same layered thermal protection that let the Soviet lander Venera 13 outlast its 32-minute design life by nearly 4 times over. Chilled interior compartments, reflective insulation, a pressure vessel designed less like a spacecraft and more like a deep-sea submarine, built to fight the same battle in a reverse. Outside, the atmosphere is pressing down on your hull with a force equal to standing beneath nearly 3,000 feet of ocean water. 92 times what your body feels standing on a beach in California. Your hull is not sinking. It is being slowly, evenly crushed, the way a diner can crush an aluminum can with 2 hands, given enough patience. At minute 34, you radio Houston again. You describe the amber light. You ask, as calmly as you can manage, what your options are. You wait 4.5 minutes for a response you already suspect. There are no options. There is no version of this mission that includes an ascent vehicle, no rocket capable of escaping Venus's atmosphere and gravity well, has ever been built, because nothing has ever needed one. Every previous mission to this surface has been a one-way trip by design, a probe, not a person, meant to transmit and then go silent. You are the first living thing this has ever happened to. Houston's reply, when it finally reaches you, does not pretend otherwise. Their message is short. Continue operations as long as systems allow. Transmit everything you can. You understand in that moment exactly what your job has become. Not survival, documentation. At minute 52, the interior temperature begins climbing despite the cooling system fighting to hold it back. You feel it first as warmth through your gloves, then as a damp heaviness in the air inside your suit, the kind of heat that makes your own breathing feel like an effort. At minute 68, you notice something about the sky outside your camera. The dim orange light has shifted, almost imperceptibly, toward the color of weak tea, sulfuric acid, suspended in the clouds above you, in concentrations no living thing on Earth has ever needed to survive. Venus's atmosphere is 96% carbon dioxide. It has almost no water vapor at all. This is the part of the story that should make you angry. The way the Titanic's ignored warnings should make you angry. Except here there was no warning anyone ignored. There is only a fact that took scientists decades to fully understand. Venus was very likely, billions of years ago, a planet with oceans. A planet not unlike the one you left 4 months ago. Something changed. Something tipped the balance of its atmosphere until heat that should have radiated back into space instead stayed trapped, layer after layer, year after year, until the oceans boiled away entirely and the surface became what it is now. Scientists call it a runaway greenhouse effect, and Venus is the only planet in the solar system where we can see, in complete and total finality, exactly what one looks like when it finishes. At minute 91, your outer hull sensor fails. At minute 103, you radio Houston one final time. You do not ask about rescue. You already know. You ask them to make sure the data gets used. You ask them to tell your family the view was beautiful. 4.5 minutes pass before their response arrives. It says only received and copied, and we're with you. You spend the time waiting for that message, watching the temperature gauge instead of the clock, because the clock has stopped meaning anything useful. At minute 119, the cabin pressure alarm activates. You do not reach for anything. There is nothing left to reach for. The engineers who built your hull bought you every minute physics would allow, the same way Soviet engineers bought Venera 13 an extra 95 minutes nobody expected in 1982. It was never about whether you would come home. It was only ever about how much you could see and send back before the planet finished what it started 400 million years ago. At minute 127, your capsule goes silent. Houston will spend the rest of that day and the weeks after studying everything you sent them. Your photographs, your soil samples, your voice, recorded and replayed, describing a sky the color of weak tea and rock the color of ash. Somewhere in a control room in Texas, someone will note the final number on the mission log, 127 minutes, exactly matching the record a Soviet machine set 4 decades earlier. Because it turns out physics does not care whether the thing testing its limits is built from circuits or built from a person. The lesson of Venus was never about the heat, or the pressure, or the acid in the clouds. Those are just the mechanism. The lesson is that some places in this solar system are not survivable by any version of caution or courage or good decision-making. Not every disaster has a lifeboat. Not every warning light has an escape route behind it. Sometimes the only thing left to do with the minutes you are given is make them count for the people who are still coming after you, and hope that what you leave behind teaches them something that keeps the next person's minutes from running out the same way. Venus is still there, exactly as it was. Your capsule is still there too, somewhere east of Phoebe Regio, slowly being reduced by heat and pressure to whatever that planet eventually reduces everything to. The photographs you sent are still in the archive. They always will be.